We need that online, because when you find a beautiful post, a beautiful person, it makes your day. Like, stop saying that social media is fake. It's fake if you follow the fake stuff. That's what I think. Like in life, who are your friends? Choose them. The same online.
Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn McCarthy, and today is going to be a great day because we have with us one of my greatest friends and someone I admire so deeply, Angelique Binet. She is an online visibility strategist for women entrepreneurs who want to fall in love with the fear of becoming visible, host of Real Story Behind Her Business show, paid media strategist, and founder of Social Media Love. And you are going to fall in love with Angelique because the minute she opens her mouth, you just fall in love with her voice and her gorgeous accent. And I hope you fall in love with her beautiful personality too, as I did. Welcome to the show, Angelique.
Thank you so much. I love it. I'm so happy to be part of a podcast called The Business of Happiness. It's
Ah,
so cool. Thank you.
so cool. Oh, we're so happy to have you. And I'm so excited to share you with my audience because I know that many of my listeners are learning the power of social media to grow their businesses, even in healthcare and dentistry. And we have no idea what we're doing, Angelique. We have no idea. And so often what we do is we find someone on our team who's usually a decade or two younger than us, who looks like she knows how to do a reel. But what I'd love for you to do is enlighten us a little bit. Tell us about your journey and how you got to be this social media strategist and expert. And tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I kind of fell by mistake in the social media love, not social media love, but in the social media marketing world. So my background is a TV reporter. So that's what I did most of the beginning of my career, to speak on TV every day. No matter what, there is like consistency. TV is really, especially the news, you cannot skip a day. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes that would be nice actually, to skip the news. But when you're in that business, so you're every day online, and then you're every on TV. Well, now it's TV and online, but you interview people. So I got the privilege to interview so many people, and especially what I remember the most is those women I interviewed. They could be politicians, artists, businesswomen, advocate for very serious stuff. And I was always like observing. So you had the go-getter, like, come here and record, have a message. And then you had the ones that would do everything to avoid me. Right? And so that's where I think everything started there. Both women were amazing. They had a message and wanted to change the world in their field. And this is where kind of the maturation of what I'm doing today is coming from. So you don't see that when you start, right? But now, with my old age, and when I look back, I'm like, oh, this is what it was about.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I move the story forward, life happens, and then I got to actually remove myself from the broadcast news because I had a baby. My husband is a journalist as well, got moved to another newsroom, and it was not working out anymore for me to be on the road all the time with the baby. So I said, I'm going to pause that career for now. And then I started communication in the political world, which is so interesting to be on the other side, right? After being a reporter, asking so many questions to politicians.
Yeah.
Then how do you, serve your audience as a political angle aspect of things? So that was another discovery of how your voice matters. When you say something, it matters. Big
Yes.
time. So that job, PR and stuff, I got like, my position got cut. This is when you get introduced to business. What do women do when something happened in their life? They need to find a solution. I said, well, I'm going to open my own business. I love cooking. So I started to be like literally a chef. But I had my specialty was in everything food intolerance, because I couldn't eat gluten, sugar, nuts, and all those things, and milk, dairy. And I could hear around me, like, people were always like, "Oh my God, how do you survive with no, if you can't eat those stuff?" And I was actually having a lot of fun to find solutions and beautiful meals. So I became a guru for people who wanted to keep cooking in a way that was good for their body. That was my business. And I built it. And at some point I'm like, okay, I need to make it a real business. And I started to apply for a fund, like a loan. And when you fill up a form for a loan, there is a section that says marketing. How are you going to promote your business? If we give you money, tell us how you're going to get the clients. And there was a huge section about social media marketing. So that was 10 years ago or 11 years ago. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, I had barely a Facebook profile at the time that I was never using. And I'm like, oh, another thing to learn, another thing to learn. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn marketing. So I started to learn with Brendan Burchard, who became, I still love him. He was my first big coach that really got me believe that I can do anything I want. Yeah. And then on the same day that I have to fill up that application, there is a past colleague of mine who says, Angelique, did you see that job here? There's a job opening at this tourism department in the state. It's not a state, a province where I live in Canada. They're looking for social media strategists. I'm like, good, but I don't know anything about social media.
She said, first of all, this is my favorite part of your story. I know your story well, and this is my all-time favorite part.
And I said, well, it doesn't matter. You have so much experience in communication, in working with teams and blah, blah, and blah, blah. She said, you apply and you'll see. So at the time I was working with Brendan Burchard on a course called Influence. This is why, guys, when you're on social media, I'm coming there. Be patient with my story. You have an influence. Yeah. No questioning. So whatever you say has an impact, whether you want or not. This is why it's a good idea to have your message get together. Like, what do you really care about? Because people are going to be influenced by what you say. Absolutely. Because, yeah, on that day that I applied and I showed them that I was the candidate to be the social media strategist of the Department of Tourism, which is like millions of dollars in ads, they said yes to me. And I was like, holy moly, okay. But here's what I discovered. But I fell in love with that field, like that powerful tool we have with the online world. So I learned everything super fast. And as you know, social media changes every other day or even every day. So it didn't really matter, because wherever you are at, and this is a message for maybe your audience, if you're just starting on social media, wherever you are, you can start, and it will change again tomorrow. So you'll find you're never late because it changes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that insight, because I think that's something that comes up for us as a part of our fear. And we'll talk about fears as well. But you're always thinking, oh, I'm so old, or I didn't grow up with social media, or, I don't know the algorithm, or people are so far ahead of me already. But I love that you're giving that permission of you're never late.
Never. You're never. Like, believe me. And so talking about the fear and, how vulnerable we become when we start to be on social media. On my first day on the job, I didn't know what the hashtag was. I went to my big boss and I said, you asked me this, but what is a hashtag? And she looked at me and she told me a few years later, when you came that day in my office and asked me.
As the social media expert.
She said, what did I do? And she was thinking of her VP and but now we laugh about it's our big joke, right? But I'm sharing this because you're gonna do big boo-boo things, and it's okay. Because if you have that in you, that it's yours, you're done with hiding, you are here, you have your practice for a reason, right? There is always a message and a why behind what you are building as a business owner. So, and this is what matters. It's how you anchor yourself no matter what happens. So, wherever you are, whatever your experience is with social media, if you have the deep desire in you to serve at least one person a day by showing up online, you've done your job.
Love it. Oh, I love it. I love your story because there's also this essence, Angelique, of such courage in your own visibility. I mean, on that day when you showed up and said, "Yes, I'm going to apply for this job," even though you literally had no experience, and you were calling yourself the social media expert, that's very vulnerable. And
Mm-hmm.
there's that aspect of visibility that I think scares so many of us is the vulnerability. You know, especially in medicine and dentistry, we want our patients to feel held and safe in our hands. So that vulnerability is scary. What do you say to your clients who are saying, you know, what's holding me back is this fear of vulnerability online in such an online presence in a platform where things stay around forever.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. So I always go back to, I always encourage my clients to go back to the day that they may have published something
Mm,
and then they got that DM where someone out of nowhere that they had no idea people were even watching their videos or reading their posts came back after and say, "Oh dear, I was about to give up on myself and you said this.
mm,
So tomorrow I took the appointment just to check the situation." That's my first little step. So this is why I said, influence, power, when you're online, whether you want to play small or big, you have an impact. So going back to the reaction that the impact you had in the past, maybe it was not on social media, maybe you speaked at a conference, maybe
mm,
you wrote an article and you got that feedback, or a client, that maybe told you, when you said that the other day of what happened to you when you were 25 and then that completely changed your life, that really inspired me to keep going. And maybe it has nothing to do with your teeth, right?
mhm. Absolutely. It's so interesting because I think we never know when we're about to have that moment of impact. You can't predict it. I mean, is that true for you too, Angelique? Like sometimes you go on, you're about to create something, you're about to post, you don't know which one is going to be that one special moment that speaks to somebody.
Totally. A
Mm,
good example is what I told you just before the show. Like 2 days ago, I decided to create an experience and invite people to come and hang out with me every night to talk about, vulnerability resistance online. I would have never guessed that 5 people would show up so with such short notice. But those women that were ready, you never know who's ready to take the next action.
yeah.
So I think it's going back to really believing that you are of service,
Mm,
that you are here for the long game, and on the day you die, you feel that you invited whoever needed to be invited to come into your world to get a better life, a better smile, a better whatever they want better.
yeah. I would love to talk about we started touching a little bit on resistance, and you really are the resistance expert in terms of that fear. So when we talk about resistance, we're talking about resistance to showing up with visibility, resistance to being visible online. And that resistance can take many forms.
Mm-hmm.
What have you ever experienced resistance in your life in terms of visibility, or has it always just been easy for you?
Oh no.
You make it look so easy, Angelique.
But the first thing I'm going to tell you is I am very tall. And when at the time when I was, between, I would say 5 and 12, being the tallest in your classroom as a girl is not an easy. That was my first experience with visibility. I was
Ooh.
always the one people were pointing at because I was the tallest. I was always asked to go in the back because I was the tallest. So those are like
Mm,
physical attributes that I was always So I'm just giving you an example,
Yeah.
because those things gonna follow you along when it's time to show up online, right? Because you're the tallest in the room. So who's the tallest online? And does it matter really? Not really. But it's like it's always about the physical aspect. There is, especially with women, I hear a lot, oh, I didn't put my makeup, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. You're not here for that. Or if you love your makeup, put your makeup. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But don't think that you need to put makeup to show up online if it's not who you are. So I think it always go back to who you are. So that's why we work a lot on the inner visibility before we go online. Who you are really impacts the way you're gonna show up or not. So if you keep oppressing the person that you really are and
Yeah.
show up on like someone else, you cannot sustain that for long. And then
No.
people feel it too, right? So I think there is that aspect. Is resistance is maybe time for a checkup. It's probably nothing to do with social media. Why are you resistant? There are things that, for me, I know, like that story that I never shared, actually comes back now. I was always, even on the photos, look at the tall girl. It was not my name. I was always a tall, like the physical appearance we have online. How can we become at ease with this?
Mm.
So here's an exercise that I can give you if you want.
Yes,
Okay?
please. Yes.
You take your phone and you open your camera. You
Okay.
do
I'm doing this in real time.
you do the selfie mode,
Okay.
and then you look at yourself in the eyes. And then, it's just to actually getting in the habit of seeing your face
Mm.
and feeling like to fall in love with yourself and not judging what you see, but seeing in you the person who is the vessel for that message.
Mm.
Social media is not about you, it's about who you help. So why are we using storytelling? Storytelling is just a connector. My story is your story, one way or another. There is always, we connect. There is always fears, love, joy, excitement, rejection. All those things are commonalities between all humans. So when you share a piece of your story, people identify with you. It builds safety, right? So this is why I share more and more that I didn't know what was a hashtag. And it's not a pride or anything. It's just I want to tell you that I am normal, and we start somewhere, and we are eager to serve. And if we need to learn more, we'll learn more along the way. And there is help. You can get help too. You don't have to do everything alone. That's another piece of the puzzle.
Oh, what you just shared is so impactful, Angelique, in the realm of medicine and dentistry, because I think we're waking up to how powerful it can be to connect with people through social media. So instead of looking at social media as one of these things we should be doing or a way to grow our business, what you're talking about is having true connection with the people we're trying to serve, which is so powerful. And it really is simpler than we make it out to be, because you're saying all you have to do to truly connect with someone is show up as yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't have to use social media to promote your business. It's really a choice you make. So, but once you make that choice, because it's so cool, right? We can reach so many people at once, right? It's once you make that choice, check with yourself why you did it. Is it to show up as the one that is so good at what it does in the industry, or is it because that there's some people who are shying away from taking an action that will help them, and you want to be their guide and help them to make that decisions by sharing your story, by sharing maybe some clients' stories that are successful, maybe some of your employees, why they wanted to join your team, what is the vibe in your office that they love so much. I don't know, like whatever is kind of fun about your practice. So by sharing little things like I call that the crumbs of everyday life through the lens of your clients, of yourself, of your staff, or even nature around, where you are. You're inviting people to come to your kingdom.
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is, what are some of the other forms of resistance that you see in your clients who are resisting being visible?
Oh, yeah. I love that question. So I work with women entrepreneurs who have already, most of them, a good network. Like they're really established in their industry. They're really established in their community. They never took the leap to be fully, to kind of, I always say, to grow their digital leg. Um, so when they come to me, they're ready. They're like, yeah, I know, let's do this. So I used to do it that way. Now we start with the mind and the body because of what I'm about to tell you. So we work on the strategy, we work on the tactics. Then, once you know all of this, you still need to build content. Content is what fuel your marketing. So building content is, yes, there are different type of content. There is a content that, the typical how to brush your teeth, step 1 to 3, which is awesome because it's easy for people to connect and it gives amazing tips. There is content about, what you believe in and your conviction and where you stand for and what you stand against, which gonna really help you to attract the client you want to work with. This is really what helps people to make a choice. That woman is not meant for me. I don't like how she talks about this. So, and there is room for everybody. This is the other thing that I want to share here. Like there is room for everybody online and in your business. So that resistance, when it's time to go deeper on how you see the world and why you use that methodology. You may have a methodology that is unique to you as an expert in your field. Then that's when I see my ladies, I call them freeze. Because what are my peers in my industry going to think about me?
Okay, so we're talking about being transparent about what sets you apart.
Yeah,
and being unique, and then being scared to do that because you might be being judged by other people.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I hear a lot is, well, I'm repeating myself. I'm always, talking about the big problem that clients have. It's usually the same thing that comes back. So you talk about it from different angles. But
Yeah. How many times can you talk about brushing your teeth?
So then, like, taking that excuse, I find often to draw back. Oh, well, I talked about it enough. Like we did it like 3 weeks ago. Well, here's the news. In the world of online marketing, when I started and I didn't know what a hashtag was, we needed to see a post between 5 to 7 times before our brain would say, oh, I better listen to that girl. Now it's around, like you see different studies, 30 to 37 times.
What?
So you guys, you can repeat.
Wow.
Yeah, because there is so much, everybody's on social media, what that we think. Not everybody that is on social media that is, really here for the long game, but there is so much information. So we really have to, our brain loves repetition. So this is why it's key to not be worried about repeating yourself. or talk about topics that you know that matters to them, because there is, number one, other ways to talk about it, and it's never finished until your client is not your client. They need to hear more of your story, or whatever you teach, or whatever you believe in, or whatever you do in your business, right? So that would be another type of resistance, like to use that excuse that, oh, I don't want to be too much. Well, if you don't show up, you're nothing, you're nowhere. Like, if I mean, what I mean by this is, like, on days you don't show up, they don't see you. That's it. It's just a fact. And even when you show up with different algorithm, they might not see you, but that's okay. But the more people interact with you, the more chances they're going to see you in their feed. So that's kind of the big ones. And then the resistance around, am I enough? Do I know enough? So we need to change the philosophy, or whatever we call it. It's not a philosophy. The mindset around, stop thinking that you need to only know. You can also be, and let yourself be, so that people can feel who you are.
Yeah. That is such an interesting one, Angelique, because I think in the greater world, that's such great advice, that we don't need to be completed or fully knowing. Just being is enough.
Yeah. Plus, online or social media is not the place where you're going to provide all your expertise. Social media is like I always say, it's the, when you imagine the bees, they go to flowers, they get the, I don't know the technical word, the middle of the flower, the yellow thing, and then they bring back to the hive. So what you give with your content is a little bit of the yellow thing.
The pollen.
Yeah, the pollen. Oh my God. Yes, it's the same word in French. And then when they're ready to go to the hive, you bring them with you in the hive, and they become your clients. So you don't need to give the full picture of everything. Just, the point of being on social media is to connect, build trust, build safety, and then make sure that, when you have something to sell, you have season to sell online. And I think that's another thing that I want to demystify. You got to sell when it's time to sell, but make sure that when you're not in selling mode, that you provide, you give, you stay in touch, right? Because this is where I see that there is a lot of motivation when there is a course, a program opening. Okay, I'm gonna go online, bam, bam, bam. But this is not how you build the relationship, right? So this is why you need to bridge those seasons of sales by providing a connection, conversation, and content that they can always rely on. And if you can choose platform that live forever, like YouTube, you don't have to, it's the post is there, it's going to live by itself, it's going to still reach and reach and reach. There are tactics behind it, but if you can have at least one signature platform, that is one that kind of work for you on the long run, this is very helpful for sustaining a level of content that still is alive, even when you don't work.
Love it. You had mentioned that a part of social media is to create safety and trust. And I was about to ask you how you do that, but I think you just answered it for us. From a trauma-informed mind magician perspective, as both you and I are, that consistency alone is creating trust and safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to give you an example. So I live in Canada. Even me, within the world of social media, I'm surprised that I was surprised, but I want to share it with you because, again, you never know who's watching. But so this summer, September, I got invited to speak at an international conference in Europe. What sold me is my consistency online. So I knew that rationally. But when I arrived, so when the day arrived, like, oh my God, I'm going to be speaking, da, 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 da. You arrive in the hotel, 3 people that I never met came to me and said, "Oh my God, I love your content." Like they were talking about my content. They never commented or anything, but they knew everything I was posting. And they were some of the organizer team. And I was like, holy moly, this is like, I'm preaching it, but this is like real time thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So people are watching, even if you don't get the likes and the views that you want, because you've learned at school that you have to have good grades, big numbers. It's just, like, quit that. Quit that. Just show up. Show up. Because at the end, the thing I want to tell as well, Tarryn, is that we are building a legacy online. I've been losing a lot of friends, entrepreneur, and it's funny to see that their content survived them. So when you create content that is, beyond the educational one, and there's nothing wrong with educational one, it's key to educate people. And then you have also pieces that are more about the bottom line of why you do what you do and why you want to inspire people to embrace the transformation that you're offering to them. It goes beyond you, right? You belong to a movement and your content is there even after you're not there anymore.
Yeah. So why do you do what you do, Angelique?
Well, for me, I don't want to try to be polite about it, but I don't know if it's because I'm wiser and wiser. I can't stand anymore to hear women shy away or not saying the thing or keeping away, like to see all those obstacles that keep them from sharing the amazing stuff they do. Like, I can't stand that anymore. That literally, I have a physical reaction. If I am in a group, if maybe we go out with friends and some people don't know what I do and I hear to stop the story, well, I'll never be able to do that anyway. I don't have money, and who would listen to me anyway? I don't have the qualification. Well, I don't have a diploma in this and this and this and that. And I'm like, who told them that story? Where is that coming from? Like, women don't realize the power they have. And I don't want this anymore. I just makes me so agitated. So I started my business because I wanted my family to survive. I was a young mom when I lost my job. Okay. Then after that, and it's still that, I want to show my son that anything is possible. He's in grade 12. He had to write an essay a month ago. And I asked him, can I read your essay? And I cried. You should see what he says, talking about how his parents are showing him that everything is possible online. I was like, oh, online, in life, sorry. Online as well. And I'm like, holy moly, that works.
Wow.
And now, what do I do? What other choice I have? We're in a world that is, we can choose to say all the time, it's crazy, that world is crazy, I'm scared and everything. Or we can also add our piece to the puzzle. And I think the more women gonna allow themselves to share their wisdom, their knowledge at any level, we need that online, because when you find a beautiful post, a beautiful person, like, it makes your day.
Yeah,
like, stop saying that social media is fake. It's fake if you follow the fake stuff. That's what I think. Like in life, who are your friends? Choose them. The same online. So you got me agitated here. This is my why.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's so beautiful, Angelique. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's when we garner the courage to be visible on platforms like online that we actually become more visible in our own lives as well. It gives us the courage to speak our truth in real life.
Yes. Yeah, oh, totally. I always say that becoming an entrepreneur online really stretched my frontiers, my borders, my inner, like, I would have never guessed. You would have told me that. Like, I come from, the farming community in France, a tiny farm where I was told that, I'm too small to study to Paris. Like, keep small. Not my parents, but the
community.
The community. And then you would have told me that I would be there telling you can do whatever you want of your life and be surrounded of beautiful women like you. I would have, no, I could not even think it. So this is the beauty of this. Be open to imagine that your online influence could go beyond what you can even imagine on the best days.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. You're launching something really big coming up soon. And so, for any of our incredible listeners who are listening and thinking, oh my gosh, I need to know more about Angelique and I need to learn more about being visible, please tell us about Magic with Social Media Love.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like a package with a bow.
Oh, I love this.
Because we, in that 6 month program, it's a group program, because community is key to see yourself, right? What's that quote? Help me with that quote. You can see yourself from, you can't read a wine label from the inside of the bottle.
Ooh,
Have you
I
heard
love
that
that.
quote? Yeah.
No, I love that quote. I
Yeah.
have not heard that quote, but I
Okay,
love
well, I
it.
don't know who said that, but it just speaks so well to, sometimes why you need, not sometimes, this is probably why we need all coaches for every area of our lives, so that they can read the label from the outside.
Yeah.
But I think the role of a community has that role as well.
Yeah.
By sharing stories, and so what we do for 6 months, basically, we work on your mind and your body around your resistance to become visible. So we do that side, but we also do, why do you want to become visible? Where is it coming from? What do you stand for? So that's where we're going to go into your message. How do you want to position yourself online from a place that feels easy, not forced? Because I think this is where everybody gets tired and burnt out.
Yeah.
Right. And joyful, excited about offering to people to come and work with you or come to your practice, right? That would feel so much like, just imagine being excited to tell people, come, you
Yeah.
know, that
Yes.
shifts everything, right? So this is what we do. But what I want for you at the end of the 6 month is that you are able to figure out, what is my content calendar for a week or for a month, based on your activity, so that you stop questioning, what should you say? What should I do? Like, because that's a big thing I hear. So we work on the inner person you want to become online. You become an influencer. So what type of influencer do you want to become in your industry, from a place of ease and joy? Then at the end, in the tactical stuff, you'll have your content calendar. You'll know who you talk to online. You'll know your message. And we're going to do two fun things. Well, everything is fun, but this is even more fun. We're going to fill up your bucket of stories. So you're going to have a bucket, and you're going to add all the stories, the tiny stories that you have, whether they are yours. Maybe there could be a story that you read in a book, or a story that someone shared that really shaped why you do what you do, or illustrates the type of services you provide. And having that little bucket of stories gonna help you figure out, what is storytelling for marketing. Okay. And then the last thing that I want you to understand for sure is, one thing to build your online platforms, but if nobody else sees you, then you're gonna be alone in your house online. So I want you to be able to invite yourself on someone else's platform, so that they want and they can't wait to be invited by you on their platform, so that both of your audiences, like you and I, we do today, Tarryn. I'm going to invite you to my show, and you invited me to my show, to your show. And so this is where we do, let's continue with the floral imagery, pollination.
I love it. I love it. And, this is something that I think women do so well, by the way, supporting one another, welcoming each other in, uplifting each other. But once again, it's finding those people who have similar values to be able to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is an art to this, and it's not that complicated. And again, it's becoming visible on all those platforms. So you have first becoming visible to yourself, then on your platforms, and on others' platform.
Yeah. I love it. I love
Right.
it.
So it's called
So,
Magic with Social Media Love.com. That's easy like that.
oh, that is easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. So now we know where to find you. And we'll put this as a link in the show notes for all of you
Awesome.
listening who are
Yes,
driving
awesome.
right now. You'll be able to find
Yes.
access.
And you'll see there is a, when you click on the button, there is an application. So the application is basically to learn more about who you are, where you are at. And then after that, I'll book a call with you and we meet online. So don't be impressed by the application process. This is me to help you make the best decision for yourself.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, how has this business contributed to your happiness?
Oh my God. Well, on days that I'm super tired and then I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, let's imagine for a second that I stop everything. Impossible. It's who I am. It's to the point that how I want to make sure that everybody understand you are not your business. You are a person as you are. But
Mm.
I am so intricately like in my business because it's so deep in my cells that I want to help women to have the impact that they want to have, that I dream of it. When I meditate, I have my downloads of posts. It's like, or if I go to a party, I try to um I try not to invade the space with my mission, but it's everywhere all the time. But I have to say, since I met you in the mind magic world, the framework that we work on as a trauma informed practitioner, I learned how to make more space for nothing.
Mm.
And that was something that was missing. I was kind of had a tendency to be completely my business and like really do only that. So now I know how to be without
Mm.
doing, acting, having whatever. And that really helps me, well, to be calmer, to have more enjoyable time with my family. So that's kind of how it really get me to be happy. I have the best life. That's what I write every day on my gratitude journal. Like, I love my life. Doesn't
Mm.
mean that there is no obstacles or things. Some things are taking time, but you learn so much about yourself, right? When you are an entrepreneur and you are online.
I read a quote the other day that said, "The entrepreneur's journey is a journey of self-discovery." And
Yeah,
I think that that is so true, and you're speaking to it right now. And I think another thing that struck me as you were saying that is learning to take that time for yourself also increases your creativity
big time.
and access to all those
Yeah,
downloads that you were talking about.
yeah, big time.
Yeah. Yeah, really
Yeah.
cool. So, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for giving permission and a platform for women to be more visible online and a resource for them to know how to take those steps to be more visible, not just online, but in their lives and to speak their authentic truth. Because if there's one generational change that we can make in this world, I couldn't imagine a more powerful one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you say. I don't want to talk too much because I know we've been talking a lot,
This
but
is wonderful.
I just so as a paid media strategist, I run ads for in the tourism industry, like million
Mm,
dollar ads, and so I just come out from the projection for 2023, where people in the world are in
mm,
their travel mind, and believe me or not, people are craving right now for quiet,
mm,
for space, for slow.
mm,
So, as a marketer, what does that mean? How can we convey that message, whether it's in the tourism world or other world?
mm,
That sense of, if you come to my world, I hold space for you. You will feel calmer, and I'll be patient with you.
mm. I love that. I love that. I feel seen and held already. Thank you. It is. It has this very calming effect on you, even when you just hear you speak those words, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So before we leave, I want to know, Angelique, what is your definition of happiness?
So it's the one I stole to someone you know because it's so right on. It's a number of hours in the day that you spend feeling how you want to feel.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I'm like, this is what I want every day. Like I never were able to find the right sentence to say it, but now it's like, look, it's in my on my desk.
Oh, success is the number of hours in the day I feel like I want to feel. I love it. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much to you.
And
High
thank you for
five.
joining us. Yeah, high five. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. If you are interested in finding out more about Angelique Binet, and if you are interested in her message and in becoming more visible yourself online, please check out the show notes. We will leave the links for you there. And remember, when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Bye bye.